Hello everyone. So I'm Adil Baig, faculty of KingMakers IAS Academy. So recently we had the civil services, UPSC Civil Services 2021 results announced, and we had so many toppers. And in today's journey, my successful journey discussion session, we have one of the toppers who secured All India 50th rank. He is from Siliguri, West Bengal, and he secured the 50th rank with anthropology as his optional, and he secured this in his fourth attempt. So he was also a working professional, and we'll discuss about the journey of Mr. Abhijit Ray from West Bengal. So we welcome Abhijit Ray on behalf of
Thank you.
KingMakers IAS Academy, and
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. So we'll be discussing Mr. Abhijit Ray's journey from the college until the All India 50th rank, and we'll start the session. Over to you, Mr. Abhijit Ray.
Right. So since you asked me about my journey initially, so I passed out in 2016. I'm an electrical and electronics engineer. So then I joined Bangalore, Texas Instruments in Bangalore as a former engineer. So it's a engineering post. So I had no intention of joining the civil services when I joined my work. Even government service also did not attract me. It was only while working the first few years, my manager over there, he was very into social service, and I did a lot of CSR activities in Texas Instruments, which sort of showed me the ground level problems. I got to interact with one or a few administrators, one district collector also in Karnataka somewhere. So this rubbed up on me. My father is a retired health chief medical officer of health in Darjeeling district. So these things rubbed off on me, and then from 2018 onwards, I started thinking about it. 2018 and 19, the first two attempts, I was not able to clear the prelims, and I thought at that moment that I was doing enough. But now, knowing what I know, right, in hindsight is always rosy. So now I can tell that it wasn't enough, and I was sort of misguided by myself. And illusion is probably the right word, because it's very important to be realistic. So anyways, I left my job in 2020 because this was what I wanted to do. I got very interested in civil services, and the more I read about it, more I thought that this is something that I want to spend my life in. I left my job in around mid 2020. I came home in Siliguri, like you said, and I have been preparing by myself. And but this was my fourth attempt. The third attempt, the mains anthropology, I could not clear because of the anthropology. This time, anthropology was something that I worked very, very hard, and I got around 100 marks more than what I got last year. So yes, it has been a long journey, but one of steady but sure improvement. I have tried to ensure that I have not made the same mistake twice, and I would say that I'm delighted that the result has come in the way that it has come.
Great, great. So, since you talked about the anthropology, we'll surely discuss about your strategy for anthropology and how you improved your
Sure.
rank. But you mentioned that you are working for the first 2 years and gave the prelims. So,
Yes.
as a working professional, what are all the mistakes the working professional do in their preparation, and what they should not do, and what could be a right strategy for a working professional who's an
Uh,
9 to 5 job?
This is a very, very good question, actually, because many people, while they start the initial days, they are working at least. So, what the mistakes that I made was, number one, I spent more time on mm, reading from new sources, and here and there. This FOMO syndrome, right? Fear of missing out. Like, you see a new source somewhere on the internet, and then because you are inexperienced and because you are prone to being misguided, you sort of fall prey and start even buying that book and reading it. But actually the cost benefit analysis is not very great on that. That was, I would say, the first mistake. The second thing is being realistic, that I am someone who will spend most of my time in office, and I will get a very limited amount of time. So cutting off from everything else and trying to devote time, although I did that, but there were a few mistakes that I made in that. The third thing I would say uh, and this is not only for a working professional, is it's a general thing also, that it is my firm belief that you should work very, very hard in the first initial time of your preparation to create that excellent notes for yourself. But once you do that, you come out of that note making cycle, the cycle of reading new material and making notes, and get into the revision and practice cycle, because that is finally what is going to matter both for your prelims and for your mains. Your knowledge what that you have gained by reading 100 books is not something that the invigilator is going to see. He's going to see those 50 pages that you have written, and how well you write that depends on your practice, the amount of effort you put in to do value addition material, which makes your answer stand out. So these are the things that I focused on in my third and fourth attempts. Fourth attempt specifically, I could execute it almost to the level that I wanted. Obviously, I mean, you cannot be perfect in all these things. I did make some mistakes in fourth attempt as well, in especially in one of the subjects. But overall, that was my journey. And again, like I said, it was one of slow and steady improvement. Adil.
Yeah, but one add-on question. So if you
Yes.
imagine a person who's working now for 8 hours a day, but couldn't resign the job, and the
Uh-huh.
person is having only Saturday, Sunday as the off. So what would be
Yeah.
the right time duration, and how can they manage this weekdays and the weekends for best for this preparation? They couldn't resign the job. That is the condition.
Thanks for that question. I mean, that I missed this point. So being guided the right way initially is very important. Knowing what I know now, I would suggest that for such a person who is doing 8 to 5 job, unable to resign and having only Saturday and Sunday off, join a coaching institute. Join a good coaching institute who you think does UPSC standard level preparation. I know that KingMakers is one of them. They do it, and they are pretty good at what they do in Chennai as well. And so join a coaching institution and do your. I mean, get the guidance, initial guidance, because you see, this thing is such a huge ocean, right? There is very high chance that initially you're going to get misguided, like I did. I did not know what hit me in the 2018 prelims because I was all over the place in my preparation. No, not many mock tests, not many. This one. Like, what do you say, practice tests, mock tests, and
For answer
I could
ratings
not
and
revise. Yeah, answer writing, forget answer writing, that was after the prelim start, thing finishes. But even in prelims also, the note making thing, I was in that FOMO syndrome, like I mentioned. So these are the mistakes that I made. So I think that answers your question, right, that you were asking.
but with
Yes.
respect to this coaching institute part,
Yeah.
so they will have say 9 to 5 job. They'll have only 3 hours in the evening after the day, and they will
There
have
are
the
weekend
Saturdays and
classes, no?
Sundays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
on Saturdays and Sundays. So
Right.
like now we'll have this follow-up question. So
Yeah.
there are many people who would have given their 2 attempts and then they would have joined the job because they couldn't sustain the preparation. But still,
Mhm.
while working, they will be still studying. So for the senior aspirants who have already attended the classes for 2 years and couldn't clear prelims, and they have joined now in a job, and uh, how can they manage their daily activities? So that in that aspect, I'm asking. So for the beginner, it will be for joining the weekend session, but for a senior, after 2 attempts, going for a job.
That is again very interesting question, and I suspect that I may not be the right person to answer that because my journey has not been like that. But I mean, if I have to think out loud right now, the scenario is a little different, right? Here, that he already knows what is expected of him, but because of the insecurity, which is again natural, so because his exam is like that, so he has taken up a job, and then the preparation, or then it's a question of improvement rather than doing the full scale mass scale preparation, right? So those precise measurements or precise strategies of improvement is what I think he or she can focus on, because he has the he has the broad base that has been created if he or she was sincere in his coaching days as an aspirant. He should focus on why the 2 attempts did not happen. That is something that I thought about a lot, especially after my second attempt, because after my first attempt, I would not say was very serious. Second attempt also was not serious, but it was a little more serious than the first one. After my second attempt prelims failure, I really thought that now I have to do something with my life. Seriously, I have to think what to do. So then came the hard decision of leaving the job. But here, what you're asking is completely opposite, that he's joining the job. So those 2 attempts, he should be very clear why he has failed, and it is a question of his improvement rather than studying in a mass thing. So again, it's a leap of faith, man. I mean, I am maybe not the right person to answer, but I know very well that what uncertainties people go through, and even I have faced similar uncertainties. I know that when I wanted to leave my job, my mother specifically was not initially very supportive of me leaving, because the job that I was doing was a very good one, and it was extremely high paid for the sector that I was working in. So I mean, it's a leap of faith. It's this exam, you do it either way, it's a risk. So yeah, I would leave it at that. I mean, because it's very hard to answer such a question. Just focus on the improvements. For that person, it's about improvements, I would say.
Sure, sure, sure. And obviously, yes, Texas Instruments and National Instruments are the two bigs in the instrumentation field. Since I'm an
Yes.
instrumentation engineer, I know what Texas Instrument is. So I can understand why your mother was so concerned. But
Yeah.
now let us move on to the preliminary. Okay, before going into this, one more question. Not many people will make this bold decision of leaving a job. So
Hmm.
always that is the comfort zone, because they are in a comfort zone, they are in a safe
Correct.
zone, in a good
Right.
salary. But
Yes.
taking this decision itself would be a very big challenge. So what went through your mind when you took this decision? And I'm asking this question because this would inspire a lot of other people who's working to take this bold decision. So that one thing which you can say to those people who are working and having double thoughts about resignation.
So I'd like to start this answer by like noting that normally people start the preparation in college, right? I started it once I was 2 years into job. So you can say that I was a little late, but that was a blessing in disguise for me. Later on, it turned out that because of the 3 years, 3.5 years of experience that I had had by the time I left my job in 2020, I was pretty sure that if I leave this and if I try the exam full swing and I somehow don't make it, because that is always a possibility, right? Because this exam is so very unpredictable. Then I was pretty sure that even although it may not happen on day one, but I will be able to come back in the sector that I was working in. So that confidence, I mean, you have to have that confidence and have to take the leap of faith. There is no other mild way to put this. Yes, it was a bold decision. Now it seems that it did take a lot of courage. That time I did not think much of it because I was hell bent on, I mean, going down with a fight at least. I mean, not going out with a fight without a fight. But yeah, again, it's a leap of faith and measure your options, strategize yourself where you stand in life, what position you are in, how easy it will be for you to get a job. Because these are uncomfortable questions, I know, but these are the questions that are important because your career is your
Yes.
career, and civil service is an unpredictable exam. Yeah.
Sure, that's a very bold decision, and now you'll be happy with for the decision which you took.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh, yeah. So now my next question, let us go into the examination now.
Sure.
So let us start with the preliminary part. So you couldn't clear the first two preliminaries, and
No.
you cleared in the third attempt. So what was the
Yes.
mistakes you identified in your first two attempts, which you improved to clear in the third attempt? Apart from resigning the job, yes, but in the preparation wise, I'm asking with respect to books or strategy.
Trying to study from too many sources is the first mistake. The second mistake is not taking guidance initial days. I was very misguided. The third thing was not practicing enough tests. That was partly because of the lack of time, but not having the value of the importance of practicing tests was not clear in my mind. I was under the false impression that I am my mediocre efforts will take me through, clear me the prelims, and mains was not something that was in my mind that much, because again that was something that I thought I'm good in answer writing. I mean, there is a whole story behind that also, how that also improved, but we'll talk that when we talk about mains. But prelims, these were some of the mistakes: not practicing, not being guided correctly in the initial days, being all over the place. uh, the thing that I was saying, that work very hard initially to make the excellent notes. So, like for example, just to give you an example, I studied ancient medieval and art and culture together, integrated, and I made my notes in prelims and mains was integrated completely. So, these 2 years, the last 2 years, I revised both for prelims and mains from my those three or those six notebooks, and those six notebooks, only those six notebooks, and nothing else. It was made in a very precise, cogent, and I had worked very, very hard to make those notes. So work very hard to make the notes and come out of that cycle and revise and practice again and again. I cannot stress this enough. That those were the mistakes, I would say, the initial ones that I made, that I did not make in the third and fourth attempts. The fourth attempt prelims was almost, I mean, executed to perfection. Mains was, yes, although some things were a little low, but anthropology third attempt was not. But yeah, we'll talk about mains later. But yeah, I hope that answered your questions about
Yeah, yeah,
prelims.
yeah. One follow-up question is that many of the students are confused with respect to choosing the right NCRT for history. So, what was your book list for history for
I
ancient and medieval?
So like I said, my ancient, medieval, and art and culture was integrated. I have this belief that you cannot study ancient and medieval, or you cannot study art and culture in a silo different from ancient and medieval, because it's integrated. For example, Ashoka was a great leader. This has two connotations, historical as well as art and culture. He did those Iranian pillars in a particular way. And why did he do that? Because of, we talk about the invasion from Iran, or the Greek and Armenian invasion, right? Which is part of, again, ancient history. So everything is related, and how that inspired Ashoka to talk directly to these people, right? Because he was the first ruler anywhere in the world to talk directly to his people through his edicts. That idea he got from Iranian pillars. So these things are related. I would suggest that, okay, since you asked the book list, old NCRTs, that's all I know. Old NCRTs, I had downloaded it from the internet and made my own notes out of it. I have very good faith in my ancient, medieval, and art and culture notes, and it's there in my Telegram channel. So I would sincerely ask you to join the Telegram channel. I can tell you the name of it. It is ABHIJIT RAY AIR 50 UPSC CSE 2021. I'm not sure if the word UPSC is there, but CSE 2021, and before that, whatever I said, that is definitely there. You please join it. All
Surely,
my notes.
we'll share
Yes, yes,
your Telegram
yes,
channel
yes,
with
yes.
the students. Yeah, yeah.
All my notes
I'll
are
share.
there, all free of, there is nothing involved. Everything is there. I have explained very clearly how to use it for prelims. Those same notes and some extra notes that I have, I was talking about value addition in mains, that also I'm going to put for mains now. In prelims, everything is there already, and mains I'm going to put up. And just give me a few days. Today is, I think, 9th. In 4 or 5 days, I'm going to start putting the mains material, because people need to get benefited from that also. But please follow the channel. Please subscribe to that channel, because I'm going to keep putting stuff. And it's a Telegram channel, completely free of cost. And all my notes are there. And I have very good faith in my ancient, medieval, and art and culture notes. Yes.
Excellent. So one more request as an order, when you're putting
Yes.
a few of our students also asked about your anthropology answers, your answer sheets also.
I plan to put all of my answer sheets
Yeah.
and this one, whatever I have practiced, whatever I have left, because I have sold many out, the notebook, the practice pages, but I have some left, so you can get a good idea. And I'm going to be sharing some YouTube videos also that I had about how to write good answers and value addition. Again and again, I'm saying value addition is something that separates your answer from others. The material, most of you will be the same only. It's a value addition that separates your answer and acts as a safety net if in case the question paper is very difficult. That happened in GS1. So as an example, I can tell that I drew around 10 India maps and 4 world maps in the GS1 paper this year, at almost trying to explain everything through diagrams and things as a supplement. And there were few questions which were difficult. For example, they asked about this one, volcano, some recent volcano or something, right, in GS1 paper this year. I did not know, and there were 2 others also, but I ended up getting 112, which is probably one of the a very good marks this time. So that happens. It is the value addition that creates a difference. So yes, anthropology answer writing stuff also I will put up. All my notes of anthropology I plan to put up, and those are again, anthropology's notes. I stand by my notes because I worked very hard to study from various sources. Government, this Swayam portal is there. They have this MA level anthropology stuff about Indian society and all these things I studied. Then some notes of some toppers that I made into my own notes. So everything I'll put up. Just give me some time. I'll explain everything and put everything up. So no need to worry about that. I will do that.
Sure. Thank you. So
Yes.
now we'll go to the continue with the prelims part again. So with
Yes.
respect to preliminary, many of the aspirants, the question is regarding the schedule of the test series. So there is this dilemma whether to follow the schedule given in the test series, or to have our own schedule and just go and write the test by finishing. So which one will be better? Whether to strictly follow the test series schedule?
This is again a very personalized thing that people should do, I believe, because uh, uh, it depends on your comfort level in answer writing. I am of the strong belief that if you want to give one attempt very seriously, then in that attempt, before the prelim starts, right? So before you get into those 3 months after your prelims and before your mains, that time, by that time, your all your notes of GS, essay, well, essay there is very less amount of notes, but they are all the 7 papers. Your notes should sort of be ready. The only addition that you must do is GS related current affairs that you would add, which comes in those 1 month before prelims and 2 months after prelims, that you don't cover in your prelims related notes of current affairs. So all these things should be ready. The 3 months should only be for revision and practice, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I forgot the question that you asked
My
specifically.
question was regarding the prelims test series. So whether we have to follow strictly the in prelims test series, we'll have sectional test and a full test later,
Okay,
which
okay.
starts
I'm
in roughly
sorry.
in the October. So whether we have to follow the schedule of the test series, or we have to follow our own, because many of the students are trapped in this dilemma, because uh, before the test they will be finishing only 80% of the syllabus, 20% will be a backlog. So how did you manage your test series, and what was your strategy, and what would be the advice?
The answer that I gave previously was probably for mains. I'm sorry
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
yeah. That is a
Yeah.
very much relevant answer for mains also.
Yeah, but for prelims, again, it's a personalized thing, but uh, you have to have a certain amount of syllabus coverage to do the full length test series. Because full length test series, again, full length test series will be limited in number for any institute that you join. First of all, it's important to analyze if that institute is giving UPSC standard level question papers, because that is at the end of the day going to help you. I had joined only one test series, not much, but earlier I had given many test series and I did not find them that useful. So this time I had joined only one. Last time also I had joined only one. The thing I focused on was revision, because once you revise, you will be able to, things will stay in your mind. You will be able to answer. And again, it's very important to remain calm also in these papers, because the paper is becoming very unpredictable these days. So I would conclude by saying there is no right time to doing test series. Sectional tests are there for a reason. As you start preparing, give the sectional test, but there is no mandatory benefit, I would say, that can come if you follow the test series schedule. Do your own schedule, what works for you, but be smart. Don't be overconfident. Don't overanalyze or underestimate. I would say that
Okay.
there is no like golden answer to this
Yeah,
question,
yeah, fine,
basically.
fine. There is no one
Yeah,
size fit all. But
yeah, exactly.
okay. But another follow-on question with regarding test series is that when we are giving a test and we will get some, we'll do some mistakes. So how
Right.
did you use test series to correct your mistakes? So how well it was part of your strategy? Like how you corrected it, and how you improve your guessing ability on the prelims?
That's a very good question, actually, because guessing ability is required. There will be at least 50% of the questions which will not be pinpointed sure about the answers, right? Um, I gave so many tests, like the test series that I joined earlier, those also I repeated. I would say I solved around 8,000, 9,000 MCQs before my prelims this time. And that means around 90 test series, 90 full length 100 question papers. The reason why I did that is I wanted to find my sweet spot, that what is my overall, like if I take a general UPSC standard full length paper, what is my accuracy. I found that if I do around 94 95 questions, I have an accuracy of 72 73%, 75% sort of, and I hit the sweet spot of 94 to 95 questions. In these last two attempts, once I did 94, once I did 95 questions. Now that is something that this practice will help you find. Also, you have the notes ready already, so any awesome answer or awesome question or awesome fact that you find, or awesome way of preparation that you find, for example, there is this very high yield topic of knowing how the cities of India, capitals of India, are arranged from left to west to east, or from north to south. That will help you in so many questions. So finding those trends, that acha, if I can mug up this and that, then I'll be able to indirectly or directly answer a lot of probably mapping questions in India. Or maybe, let's say, if I mug up the list of national parks and the hills that are there in the national park, the rivers that run through the national parks, and in some cases the temples that are there in the national park, the Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary, that has the this one, the temple where the celibate god in Kerala is there, right? Which was there in the news. I'm forgetting the name of the temple. So these trends you will be able to pick up. So I had mugged up all the national parks, the rivers, the geographical features inside them, some of the famous endemic species, some IUCN numbering of some species, then all these things. These trends you will be able to pick up from the prelims test series. The more you give, the more you will be able to realize. Think about the marks that you got in that test and why you got less. So these are the ways to improve. That is how I improved from my first, second to third, fourth attempts. I got
Okay.
120 in this prelims paper where the cutoff was 87.
Yeah, the
So that is not
120
something
was
that
big.
I didn't expect that. Probably it's because of the experience as well as doing the strategy right, I would say.
Yeah. That's great. So next we'll move on to the current affairs part. That is a very big
Sure.
billion-dollar
Yes,
question for all the
absolutely.
aspirants. So
Absolutely.
there are two dimensions to this question. First is what was the role of newspaper in your preparation? Which newspaper you followed? Were you regular with newspaper and taking notes with respect to newspaper? Secondly is the role of the monthly magazine. So did you follow monthly magazines or you just relied on the PT? So these are all the two questions.
So before I answer this question, I'd like to say that do not do what I did, because right now the trend is changing. I saw this a few days back, the prelims paper, and it is without a doubt that if you follow the newspaper correctly, you are going to be able to do some questions, because they are things do appear in the news which appears in the paper. I did not, in the 4 years of my preparation, I have not picked up a newspaper a single day, not online nor physical. It's only after the mains cleared that I cleared this time, that for the interview stage I did the online newspaper. I downloaded the PDF and I used to read. But the reason why I did not do earlier was that I have this feeling that the daily news analysis of stuff that is there on the internet, they do a far better job than I would do sitting down half an hour with a newspaper and doing it. But again, that is my personal humble opinion. Please do not go by it. Newspaper reading is becoming more and more important, uh, especially for people who want to express themselves well in mains, who may not have good answer writing or expression communication skills, even for interview also. So keep reading the newspaper. That's a good habit, I would say. Don't do what I did, but I did not read newspaper that way. And you asked about magazines. I relied on magazines. 3-4 magazines I used to pick up, and I used to make my notes on based on that. The test series that I had joined had some excellent current affairs coverage, so that I used to follow. So overall, it was a non-newspaper based preparation, which was supplemented heavily by the compilations as well as the test series. The website that I use for test series, their current affairs coverage. Yes, but again, finally, don't follow what I did. Do read the newspaper. That's a very good. That's a useful thing that will give you some good feedback. Seeing what is going on these days in prelims.
That's a very responsible answer from a topper.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. So another question is that you said that you relied only on the magazines, current affairs magazines. So
and
how
and
you
the
do?
DNA in the websites, YouTube,
Yeah, fine.
daily news
DN,
analysis. Yeah.
daily news. Okay, daily news analysis. So you followed the daily news analysis and the monthly magazines. But how did you approach the monthly magazine? Whether did you take notes from a monthly magazine or it was just underlining the monthly magazine and
No,
leaving?
I took
You
notes.
made a
I
notes.
I had a issue. I couldn't study from anything well apart from my notes, and I took micro notes, because those micro notes help to revise very fast. So in the Telegram channel that I was talking about, there I precisely have explained how I have used current affairs note preparation. And what I find very interesting is that there are some high yield topics, lists or topics that you can categorize. So every day you are being bombarded with news, right? So there are some high yield areas. For example, organizations that are being formed and their chairman. So National Board of Wildlife is headed by Prime Minister, but NTCA is headed by Minister of Environment. But this one, Ministry of Personnel, I think the chairman is Prime Minister, or the minister is Prime Minister, or something like that. So basically, the important bodies and their chairman, whatever is in the news, just keep adding to it. That will help you. This year, the question was asked about which of these four bodies is part of the Wildlife Protection Act or something like Environmental Protection Act in prelims. So if you do it from this list perspective of high yield topics, and I have mentioned all of them in the Telegram page, it exists. My PDF also I've put there. That will help you to revise faster and cover a lot of things. You will have a very top level bird's eye view of which are the important areas. For example, some strange sounding scientific names, right? For example, Gucci was asked this time. It is a mushroom. So that can be put under a list called scientific strange names or something like that. So any, like, This one, Azitobacter juni is a decomposer, right? Or it helps in bioremediation. Just the name, that biodecomposition, that connection itself is enough. You'll be able to solve the question. I mean, you need to know that Azitobacter juni is not a name of a deer in the Western Ghats. So it's a microorganism that helps in bioremediation. Probably that connection, bare connection you make, that's enough, and that can happen if you do the listing correctly. So that I've mentioned in detail in the Telegram page. That has greatly helped me in improving my marks in the from first and second to the third and fourth prelims, especially in the fourth prelims.
Fine, fine. So seeing the monthly notes which you made, that will be help. So with respect to monthly magazine, it's like taking the magazine and finishing it off at one single stretch, or would you take a full month to take the notes? What is your style of
One single
preparation?
stretch, the compilation. I can't do it every day. Well, I have other things to study, and I used to come at the end of the month, take 2, 3, and do the comparison and make my notes out of that.
Okay,
I was not very regular in doing the current affairs note making, but I used to ensure that I used to do it quickly and get out of that cycle and get into the revision cycle. Like I
fine.
had a cutoff date that after this I'm not going to study anything new. Any new current affairs I'm not going to study unless it is like extremely awesome, extremely good looking. Otherwise I will not do it. So that was my promise to myself, let's put it that way.
Okay, but your current affairs preparation was integrated for both prelims and mains, or did you do it separately for mains again after prelims?
So what I did was, uh, if I saw a good news, right, and if I felt that it was, and this comes with experience, that if it means worthy, then I have to note down in my mains notebook. So you could say that it was integrated, but it was maintained in separate notebooks. And when we talk about mains, we can talk about how those extra few months current affairs that can be sourced from the mains 365 or other compilations that are available, which are actually very good. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this question answer for this current affairs part will be benefiting a lot of them, because most of them are in this same confusion.
Yeah,
Uh,
I had the same dilemma, and this is not an easy question to answer.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It comes with the experience of others that you can learn from, and
yeah.
please go in the Telegram page, it's available. I would
That is
suggest
the
all
ultimate
aspirants to.
purpose of this interview
Yes,
session,
yes,
so that when the words coming from the toppers, it will create an impact.
I hope
So
so.
the next question, now we'll slowly move on to the mains part.
Yeah.
Okay, before going to the mains part, it's about the CSAT. I hope you will be comfortable in CSAT, because you are from an engineering background. But
Yeah,
did you had a
all my
separate strategy for CSAT or
no, no,
any
no, nothing,
advices?
nothing, nothing. I in my first attempt, I did not. I was very, like I said, it wasn't serious. So I hadn't even seen one CSAT paper how it looks like. I just went on the first day. All my 4 attempts, I got very, very good marks, 167. All my 4 attempts CSAT. So CSAT was never a problem for me, but CSAT can be a problem for many people. People are not able to clear prelims because they failed in CSAT but got 130 in the paper one. So this is happening, and this is a reality that we must wake up to. CSAT is not to be taken lightly. For new aspirants, I would say that just sit down with a CSAT. Don't take any preparation first. Just sit down with the CSAT paper which came in the last or last to last year. Take the 2022 one because they say it's one of the hardest among the last few years. Sit down with it, do the full length thing, and see how much you're getting. If you're getting comfortably above 120, then I don't think CSAT is ever going to be a problem for you. But if you're getting less than 100 or even 100 to 120, then you might have to think of being a little serious about CSAT. It's not a very difficult one, but if it can pinch you if you, or it can bite you if it's taken too callously. It depends on person to person though.
Okay. So one final question regarding preliminary, and then we'll go to mains.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
should an
sure.
aspirant do before this last 1 month before preliminary? How many marks should an aspirant should take, or how they should schedule this 1 month? That is another mistake which they do.
1 month, no, nothing new. Only practice and revise, practice and revise. How many marks you should take, that depends entirely upon your comfort level. But practice is key. You will never have satisfaction that you have finished the prelim syllabus. The 2 days or 3 days before prelims, you're going to have this huge amount of uncertainty in your mind that maybe this time it's not for me. But again, this is a mind game that happens. So last 1 month only practice and revise, nothing new. It would be a counterproductive strategy to do something new, or try some new strategy or some bullet, a magic bullet. So it's important to be realistic about such things.
Okay. What about your 2 hours time management? So how many rounds you go? How you manage the 2 hours of preliminary?
I have a very callous way of, I would say, solving the GS1 paper. I start from the front. If I see a question that I can do, I do. Then if I see a question that I get stuck, if I start get panicky, I leave that, go to the last page, or go to somewhere middle, do 5 questions or 10 questions, and then come here. And then there is no fixed strategy. I would not suggest you do that. You should have a strategy. I'm comfortable with the way I do it, but it may not be for everyone. So have a strategy. There are people who give very nice examples that first you attempt the questions where you can eliminate all the 3 options, then you do 2 options, then you do 1 option. I mean, this can work. How you attempt this will come with practice. You will find out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. The mock tests are meant for this, to find out your accuracy, to find out your sweet spot, to find out how you attempt the paper, how you go about it. And try giving the mock test at a time when you would be actually giving the test, at morning, because if you give it at night, your brain may be working, but in the morning you may be sleeping. So that is something, that mistake I made in my first and second attempt also. So that is not something that I would suggest. Give it at 9:30 to 11:30, sitting down in a place where you may have some disturbance. Try to give in that, maybe put the fan off. I used to do that because the exams are held in government schools, right? And the infrastructure may not be as desirable as we would want them to be. Maybe the fan is not working, maybe the seat is too stiff. So I used to, like, I have done this, and this sounds a little crazy, but I have put the fan off, and I've tried to sit down in the heat and try to answer the questions, just to see if I'm able to do it. And without closing the door of my room, let the outside sound come in of my parents talking to each other or something, and see if I'm able to do the paper or not. Because I mean, this is very true that the more you sweat in battle, sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. So, I mean, this is a good strategy, I would say. And
Okay.
mocks are specifically for this. You were
Yeah.
asking what is the utility of mocks? Mocks is
Yeah. Exactly. So now we'll move on to the mains. So
sure.
when we start about the mains, I'll just start first with the ethics strategy. So what was your ethics strategy,
Ethics.
and how did you improve your marks in ethics?
So I have a lecture on YouTube where I talk about the strategy of answer writing in mains. I have an unconventional way to look at mains answer writing for optional as well as ethics as well as GS. I like to think of it as how the invigilator would see my paper. What I used to do, and this is when I started my serious preparation, is I used to download some random answers copies of people and try to get it printed and evaluate them myself. And then I used to note what are the emotions that go through my mind, whether I'm happy seeing the particular way of answering or whether I'm not. What often I have seen is I get irritated or pissed off when there is someone who doesn't come to the point early, or beats around the bush, or most importantly when he tries to bluff. That really pisses me off. And as a human being, we all are very similar. So, and there are people, right, who correct hundreds of answer scripts every day. So that gave me the understanding that I needed to think of it from their perspective. So what I used to do is that I used to do these value addition things, and all these things. So about the ethics paper, I simplified it by trying to think of how I think while I answered the question. I realized that it's very different of how, when we are revising and studying, versus when we are writing an answer in that first few seconds when we see the first question first time, right? What comes to my mind, that I focused on. And so I realized that for me, it's not about chapter wise ethics terms. It's about writing all the ethics terms in a page, not even writing the definitions of them, because the definition through revision I know. So I had these 2 or 3 pages where I just noted down randomly, like in a cloud sort of a thing, the ethics terms and examples I was aware. The thing is, if I remember the term, I can write about it, everything example ke saath. So that was my strategy. And for this one, case study section B, I mugged up this one, introductions and conclusions for all the basic types of case studies. I can give you an example. This one, there was this question in 2021 about the COVID situation and doctors, some ethical dilemma related to that. Superintendent trying to manage a hospital. So I had made up in my mind before coming to the exam that if anything about medical is asked, I'm going to, at least in the intro, I'm going to put 2 things. One is something called medical triage, What basically that means is the principle that the person who is the most vulnerable should be treated first. So doctors have this ethical principle which guides them. And the second thing is Hippocratic oath, that you will not leave a patient untreated or something like that, which doctors take, right? So I started the answer by saying that the medical fraternity is guided by the principles of Hippocratic oath and medical triage. But in the times of COVID, these principles have unfortunately been put to test. That was my introduction. So it was succinct, it was to the point, and it hit the nail in the starting itself. So I know that such a thing can create a good impression. So that is how I strategized my thing. I have a very good feeling that if you write the intros and this one correctly, conclusions correctly, you can increase at half mark or 1 mark, because that's the first and last impression. Another thing that I used to do in my ethics is this one ethics case study, is that sometimes is asked to know that you list the ethical dilemmas. So what I used to do, I used to make a table, ethical dilemma on the left column and guiding value in the right column. So I used to make this extra effort of putting the dilemma as well as just one word about the guiding value. So I just make it in a table format so that I don't have to write it again and again. Just ethical dilemma is personal versus professional duty. And then the ethical dilemma is, so a guiding value would, to solve that dilemma would be spirit of public service, something like that. So that was a value addition, that portray that I know how to solve the problem also, or know the values that may be important. So that's the ethics way of answering a GS question, sort of a thing. So these things are important, these strategies are very important. Ethics paper is all about revision and practice, revision and practice, and the more you practice, these strategies will come to you. The block diagrams, the flow charts that may help you to save time. In the paper, in the section A, mostly the flow charts help you to save time. I mugged up lists of good IAS officers who have done good work. For example, in Kerala, there is this Prashant Nair who did the Tere Mere Beach Mein in Kozhikode. So that can be an example of what? It can be an example of dedication, that he went out of his way to do a creative program to clean up beaches. Or it can be example of creativity in administration. So if you have these examples bunked up, you can put them here and there. So these are the value additions and examples, catchy examples, like IS officers who have done work. So the person who's correcting knows that he's talking about real things. And then we had so I mugged up the good work of the famous people also. Then all these sort of value additions is what I focused on, and it has given me good result. Actually, I realized that 104 in this year's essay ethics paper was not bad.
Exactly, that was actually the strategy is very unique.
Ethics is one paper which is made very confusing by a lot of people. It's actually a very simple paper. It's all about practice and revision, that's it. And ethics is one paper where you'll have to write a lot. There is no other way, because it's very hard to express yourself in ethics, because you have to express your emotions in a certain in a way, right? That this is bad, this is right. So you have to write a lot. So be prepared to write a lot and you come with practice.
Okay, what was the standard book which you referred for ethics?
Mrunal sir's notes, I would say. Mrunal Patel, his notes that are freely available. I made micro notes on that. So my ethics notes was around 20 pages of notes, and then, like I said, 3 pages that I had made just before the exam in my own way, like how I think in the I'm sorry, how I think in the mm, that exam, in the mains exam. That is exactly how I thought, how I made my like immediate revision notes. This comes with practice. I mean, all these things I'm talking like that I have figured it all out. It's not like that. I practiced, I put in the hard work. That's how I figured it out. Anyone who wants to do good in ethics should practice a lot, and then everything will be clear. It's a simple paper. It's not a difficult paper.
Fine, exactly. Now we'll move on to the essay. So
Sure.
with respect to essay, now like we have already discussed, the part A of the essay is becoming very difficult because of a lot of quotation and philosophical based questions. And part B, we got certain general questions. So how to tackle this part A essay, and what strategy utilize to tackle this quotation based, ethics based part A essays?
I'm not sure what. Look, I may not be the right person. I have got very good marks this time in essay, 135, I think, but I may not be the right person to answer this, because my English communication skills, written communication skills have been very good right from the school times. So this time that is probably what helped me sail through, because the strategies that one would have made, like mugging up statistics, quotations, something about society and all these things, these will not come in handy in a paper where all the 8 topics are philosophical, right? So, I mean, on a lighter note, it is my firm belief that UPSC would have called up Socrates and Plato and told them to come and set the essay paper. It looked like something like that, and memes were also out in the internet, right? This was a difficult paper, um, and it is basic communication skills of expression that actually helped me. So I may not be the right person to answer this, but on a broad level, I might say that it is practice that will help you to ace philosophical essays as well. Philosophical essays are not easy; they are difficult because there is a vague sentence that's given and you have to figure something out. So yeah,
So
that would be
yeah,
practice
so
would be the broad term.
how do you brainstorm a philosophical essay, and what is your style of approaching it?
I You cannot do the pastel approach in philosophical essay sort of thing. You try to connect a philosophical essay with the issues that are going on in the country, and or maybe how it affects, how the topic affects various layers of society, or various sectors of the economy. I mean, these are the ways how you can brainstorm, I would say. But I had no specific way. I kept an open mind, but because I had confidence in my writing skills and my ability to do creative writing, that is why I did not work very hard for a strategy in philosophical essays, or for any sort of essay for that matter. I may not be the right person. I am telling you again, I may not be the right person to guide someone on essay. I will definitely share my quotations and all these things that will come in very handy, because I worked very hard to create that quotation and statistics, or you can have a good idea of how introductions or some catchy lines can be written. For example, if there is something where we are doing some things right, in let's say there is a scheme that we are talking about in an essay, and we are doing some things right but some things wrong, but overall we are making improvements, right? So a heading for that section can very catchy be losing the battle but winning the war, right? So some headings like that that can create the difference. So these are the compilations that I made and I'll share. But overall, writing, brainstorming way, my way of would have been a little different than any I mean typical aspirants way. So I would not go so far as to suggest my way of answering, my way of brainstorming. I don't
Fine,
think
fine.
that would be that would work well with many people.
Fine, fine. Okay.
Yes.
So now we'll go to the most crucial part, that is the answer rating part. So how was
Uh-huh.
your answer rating strategy? What was your routine for answer rating? Did you start this answer rating practice before the preliminary or just after finishing the preliminary in the
No,
3 months?
no. I am of the opinion that if you want to do well in mains, your answer writing should be of a good level even before the prelims finishes. And after prelims, it's only polishing and value addition that you must do with revision, because revision, or especially optional, is going to take a lot of time. Just revision, not even practice. So your practice and the way of writing answers for both optional as well as GS as well as essay should be sort of, you should have a good base going into the mains 3 months before mains. So I did my answer writing before. I would say if you want to do a full length answer writing, then you should have the full syllabus covered, because otherwise, we all know that the more interconnected way you write an answer, the better, right? So that can only come when you have the entire broad picture in your mind. So that can only come when you're integrated, or entire syllabus, at least GS 1, 2, 3, 4 is done in a way, and then you can start with answer writing, and as you revise more, it gets better. So
So
yeah.
what was your cycle of answer rating? Like, was it daily or was it weekly before prelims?
In the last 1 month, it was almost daily. I wrote
So
like
like
crazy.
before mains, 1 month
Sorry,
before
sorry. In
mains.
in 1 month before mains, yes. 1 month before
So
mains, it was almost daily.
so for with respect to answer rating, when it will be right month to start? Like with this from October itself. If you are giving an attempt on June, when can an aspirant start this answer rating practice on a daily or weekly basis? Whether it is from October, November till February, or what would be that right duration?
One can start right from the start of preparation, because if they're doing prelims and mains integrated preparation, then one can start right from the initial days only. I mean, very light answer writing just to get the hang of it. It takes time. to get and I have a good lecture in YouTube. I'm going to share the link in my Telegram channel also. I have shared some PDF sample pages of my answers. I'll share one full length test series also that I had given and the answers that I wrote. So I think initial days it can be started, but on a light level. I mean, if you push yourself too hard before your understanding of the entire syllabus is done, then maybe you'll get discouraged, because you'll see that you're not able to make progress. It's not because maybe of your answer writing skills, it's because of your lack of material. So slow and steady progress would be done, but I think keeping in mind that your answer writing is sort of ready, or you have a good grip over it, or okayish grip over it, not even good, before going into the mains 3 months, I would say.
Okay, so now we'll go to the okay. Before going into that, did you have any specific nuances which you used in your answer writing so that you could attract the examiner to put good marks? Like
Of course,
any
I had
specific
many.
tricks? Yeah, those kind of tricks.
I
Can you
had
list
many.
tricks?
Yes, I can list some of them. The list won't be exhaustive. Everything will be put in the Telegram channel, but I can list some of them. That the introductions and conclusions I had mocked up of for example, themes in ancient history and culture. Then the ability to make the Indian world map in around 10-15 seconds, and being able to map, let's say, some crop pattern, or some important some rivers and some landforms nearby, something like that. Then for GS2, learning the different committees and their recommendations, at least one, two of them for every sector. Then mugging up the articles of important bodies. Uh, that can help. One general observation that I felt is that the prelims part is more of data driven, right? So you have a lot of data. So those data, some of them, if you can remember and if you can sprinkle in your mains answer, that gives a value addition also. Then all the things that I mentioned about GS3, some organizations or some committees that would have helped. Then in yeah, so all these things in GS3 again, I sort of have a don't have a good feeling before giving any strategy about it, because of my low marks. But GS4, like we discussed in detail, anthropology also, introduction, conclusions, we'll talk about it probably. But yeah, there is a lot of value additions that can be done which can make your answer stand out from others, because that is exactly what you want to do. At the end of the day, you want marks more than the other person, nothing else. You don't care about how much marks you get. It should just be more than the other person, and that can only happen if your answer is standing out from the others. That's it. Yeah, you're right.
That is competitive examination.
Yes,
So
yes.
the follow-up question is that whether you started consciously making this effort to take the data or the reports. Did you had a separate notes for it from the beginning itself, or after the
For each
prelims?
subject, I had separate pages for it, for the value additions. Again, I'll share my notes. You'll understand. I went up to the extent of going through the NITI Aayog website, downloading the aspirational districts program
Yeah, I just
document.
saw the thing you
Yeah,
said.
yeah. So and noting down some awesome things that some districts had done as best practices. So you can source some awesome solutions to some very crucial these problems. I gave an example of the project second innings for retired teachers to come and teach in primary schools in Dahod in Gujarat. So that can reduce the teachers the problem of teacher to student ratio, right? So stuff like that examples you give, it's very catchy, and the most importantly, it gives a good feeling to the examiner that this guy has made effort. And trust me, at the end of the day, that respect that he has for you, that is reflected in the marks that you get. I believe in this strongly, that at the end of the day, it's a human being who's correcting your answer scripts, and you need to be mindful of that person. If you want to sum up my main strategy, it would be that, it would be this
Yeah.
statement.
Then I think so. If you share all your answers and notes which you
Absolutely, I'm
made,
going
that
to
would
do
be
that.
of a very big service to the aspirants who are looking up.
Absolutely, I'll do that. Yes.
Sure. Thank you. So now I'll go up to the GS1. What was your preparation strategy for geography? So in GS1 already you discussed about your ancient and medieval and art and culture, and you can also discuss about
Modern
how.
history was also sort of similar only. I
Yeah,
had integrated notes
you
and I did similar.
you saw Spectrum or Bipin Chandra, which was your choice?
No Bipin Chandra, Spectrum I did, but again, but I did from other sources also. And I made sure to keep those some prelims related information mugged up. Again, there are some value addition lists for mains also, for prelims also, that you can prepare. For example, the way there are some very interesting themes. For example, how the socio-cultural policy of the British emerged or evolved over time, how they treated Indians before 1857 and after 1857, and why did they do that, all these things. So I have worked very hard to do modern history notes for both prelims and mains together also. I have shared that, and how to use that in mains I'm going to share in a few days. But you asked me about geography. Now
Yeah.
geography is one part of GS1 which is a little technical. So for example, in the other papers you write that agriculture suffers due to this one, let's say unpredictable rain in India. But in geography you would want to put the word agriculture replaced by the word precipitation. So this is a technical subject. So the more technical words, the more technical diagrams, schematics that you draw or make, the effort that you put to put it in a little technical format, the greater I have seen the reward coming out in geography. And there are some parts of the prelims also that you need to remember. For example, types of faults and all these things that are sometimes asked. So I had no specific difference between my prelims and mains. It's just I kept on adding while doing my prelims notes also. I kept on adding some mains related material. I will share everything, but my strategy has been to focus on NCRT diagrams as well as being a technical oriented answer in geography. I would sum it up like that.
Okay, so did you made detailed notes for each and every topic given in the syllabus for GS 1, 2, 3, or it was only for specific topics you made notes,
um
handwritten notes of yourself?
for current affairs related topic, because current affairs related topics talk of all the issues, right? So I made notes for most of the issues. And I would say it was a mixed bag. It's very hard to say what I did for what. It was based on what I felt and came from experience also. What I felt would work best in the type of notes that I was making. So yeah, I would not be able to specifically say about that, at such a broad level. My notes, I'm going to put all of them up, GS 1, 2, 3 also, but with the disclaimer that 3 try not to refer to, GS 4 also, as well as anthropology, everything, as well as essay. So I think it will be very clear once we have a look at that.
Sure, sure. So now we'll go to the anthropology part, which is the core, which is the major part of our mark list. So, with
Absolutely.
respect to anthropology optional, can you just start by briefing your strategy, how you approach both the papers, if possible, which books. Then I'll have the follow-up questions, and then I'll have the follow-up questions. So first, you can briefly describe the strategy.
So anthropology was not the optional one which I started with when I started my preparation. It was electrical engineering. After my first and second attempt, although I could not give mains, electrical engineering I had studied, and I soon realized that the marking is a little punitive over there. For example, in 4 pages, if you write 3.5 pages of answer, which is completely correct, and that's technical and mathematical, right? So if you write 3.5 pages of completely correct answer, but half page of a little wrong calculation, the answer is wrong, you out of 20 probably will get 3 or 4. You'll not be rewarded for those 3.5 pages of complete correct answer. But in art subjects like anthropology, sociology, I don't know about geography. Honestly, I cannot talk intelligently on that. But for these subjects, anthro and sociology, if you write that half page wrong, then maybe out of 20 marks you will probably still be able to salvage around 9, 10, or maybe 11. If 9 or 10, not probably more than that. So it's sort of an additive marking in this arts papers, and a punitive marking in the technical papers, especially the engineering subjects. I don't know about the other ones, which made me move away from that and put me towards anthropology. Third attempt, anthropology, I was under the impression that expert level GS level answers were enough for anthropo, for optional. I was wrong, and that reflected when I got GS type marks in the optional papers. So in the fourth attempt, I started from scratch. I got new notes, read a lot extra from what it was required. I compiled notes from multiple places. I again stand very confidently with the quality of notes that I have in Anthro paper 1 and paper 2. Again, I'm going to share all of them. So that gave me the confidence and the ability to get around 100 marks more than what I got in my third attempt.
Exactly. So the point which you said is exactly what I also felt. So in with respect to geography optional, also the same logic applies. When I wrote my geography paper 2, in generic GS based answer, I got only 90s. When I made it a bit technical, I shot
Yes.
up to 130, 140. So that is a very
That is the
valid point.
difference between optional and GS.
Yes,
That's one
that's
of the mistakes
exactly.
that I made in my journey. Not to know
Uh,
that GS is not equal to optional.
Exactly. So the technical words in the optional, that's the thing. So
Absolutely.
now a follow-up question is that you improved from almost 100 marks in your third and fourth attempt with respect to anthropology. So what were that small steps which you took to improve your marks apart from the technical terms?
I studied I studied uh, like broadly from many sources, and again keeping in mind that I need to get out of the note making cycle soon. But though I worked very hard in the initial days to study from multiple sources, make my notes, and that was one thing that I did. I focused on drawing as well as value addition, diagram making, all these value additions. Secondly, I worked very hard to, like I said, write expert level answers at that speed. Again, the speed is very important. In the third attempt I could not finish the paper, but in fourth attempt I did not leave in a single page blank. So there'll be some questions over there that you will not know the answers to, but there is a difference between bluffing and writing a general answer in the optional questions that you don't have an answer to. So that's an art that will come again with practice. I don't know for the other ones, but for sociology and anthropology it works. So yeah, that would be some of the changes that I made. I worked much harder, studied from multiple sources, basically compiled notes from multiple sources, revised much better, practiced much more, and that paid off beautifully, I would say. It isn't one of the highest marks. There is someone who got 306 this time in anthropology. Mine is a mere 274 or 275, but yeah, it's 100 marks more than the last time, so I'm very happy. So yeah.
But chalega, top 100 में
हाँ.
it is fine. So
नहीं तो कुछ भी चलेगा.
yeah. So now I had a few of the students of KingMakers who are pursuing anthropology optional. They have sent me a few questions which is specific to the
Yes.
optional. So I'll just list
Mhm.
out those questions before we could end this session.
Sure.
So the first question is regarding the topic of physiology. One of the students said that it is very factual part physiology. Whether we
Uh,
have to in detail study all the facts or how to handle this physiology part in Unit 1.
Physiology part, I think what he's trying to say is that the adaptations that humans make in various types of climates, something like that, or the blood grouping and all these things, is the medical sciences part, sort of, and the ecological anthropology. I'm guessing what he said, but I understand what he's trying to say. The problem, even I have faced it. Yes, you have to. There are some parts of anthropology where you need to have an understanding more than this one. An understanding more than factual, but this is a factual place, the physiology part. Even evolution, if you were writing an answer about the homo erectus, then the expectation is that you're going to list out as many adaptations or as many changes in homo erectus physiology. I think he's trying to mean these only, the evolutionary based
Yeah,
human
there are a lot of facts to
physiology.
remember.
Yes, there is no other way. I'm sorry. You have to mug up and revise, because their revision comes in handy, and practice helps you to write it very fast. The diagram also helps.
Okay,
So
so
yeah, go ahead.
one question was that since you mentioned the diagrams, so how diagrams will improve our score in anthropology? Because I've been said that a lot of diagrams are there in the anthropology to draw. So how beautiful our diagram should be, and what is the role of diagrams?
The idea is not to make it precise. The idea is to just convey the information. For example, if you're trying to show the head, it came this time, the head of homo erectus skull, the homo erectus skull, then you should some parts you should be very clear about. For example, he has a projecting chin, orthognathism, no, sorry, prognathism. This part of is projected. Then he has a flat skull. He does not have a forehead, like he has a very receding forehead. A forehead is not like modern humans. Then his part of his top of his head is flat rather than oval like in ours. And the size of his head is only around how much? Much lesser in cubic centimeters than 1400, which is ours. So if there is a comparison which comes between human skull, modern human, and Homo erectus, then definitely you're not going to draw the Homo erectus skull bigger than this guy's skull, right? The modern human skull, and you are going to show platycephaly like this, then orthogonality like that. That this is a little projecting. The forehead is flat here. It's not going to draw the forehead like ours. So these things are to be taken care of. Other things are not very important. If you're drawing the skull, then these technical aspects should be clear, because that is what the examiner wants to see. You don't have to draw very precise that his nose should be exactly between. I mean, you understand, right? You don't need to be artistic about it. You need to be technically, I would say, technically valid. Not
Fine.
even technically accurate, technically valid.
Fine. So the next question was, what is the approach to theories part? How to manage this theories part? All the important theories, whether to make the notes in
paper
detail.
one, there is this chapter called theories in anthropology. That, according to me, is the single most important chapter in, I would say, paper one, and probably to understand some parts of paper two. If you, and there is no amount of time that is enough to study that chapter six. It's chapter six, and it's the biggest. It will take you probably 20 days to cover that one chapter, because it's a big one. If you really want to go in depth, I'll share my notes. I had gone in depth, but that is one chapter. If you understand very well, no, then even the other parts of the syllabus of culture, of society, you can put in points, put in that according to this guy. I've forgotten everything actually now that I'm trying to recall the names of the people. I'm unable to remember any. But if you try to put in the names of some of them, even in irrelevant or indirectly in some of the other parts of the paper, then that creates a good impression that this guy understands. And that can only come when you revise and revise. Like that chapter 6 was like Lakshmikant for me. It was the Bible of anthropology. And every time I studied it, I realized something new. I learned something new. Just like this one, right? What's it called? The Lakshmikant.
Lakshmikant
Lakshmikant
has
and
that nature. Every time you read,
yeah,
it
it's
is
like
new.
Mona Lisa. It's like Mona Lisa. Any way you look at it, it's the Bible, and every time you look at it again, you discover something new.
Okay. So
So
then
chapter 6 was like that.
question. The next question was, whether Nadim Hussain book is sufficient for paper two.
Not sufficient, but necessary, because I did that, plus I supplemented it with a lot of value addition material.
What were those supplements?
I don't remember, it was from websites and all, but it's in my notes and I'm definitely going to share them.
Sure.
They are very
So
high yield notes, and they have helped me to, they have saved me this time actually in paper two. I got 100 and how much? I got 143. I would have got less had it not been for those extra value addition.
okay. So the next question is about archaeology part. How to integrate this archaeology part of paper one and paper two, and how to approach it.
I had integrated notes. I understand the problem precisely what it's talking about. I had integrated notes. I studied from Ember and Ember archaeology, as well as from Nadim Hussain archaeology, and plus some stuff from some websites. Again, in the form of notes. I don't remember which, because you never make your notes hoping that you're going to share it someday with the world. You make it for yourself. I mean, you don't try to remember the sources and all. I'm sorry for that, but definitely I'm going to put up my notes. Um, yes, it has to be integrated, because then you'll be able to draw the linkages with that. India's archaeological progress has been a little later than the normal Stone Age progress that in the European world. It's a very interesting part. All the parts of anthropology are actually very interesting. Archaeology is also. So I have very good notes of it. I'm going to share it.
So all those toppers who are aspiring for top 100 ranks, remember your notes will be shared one day.
Yes, yes.
So
So
you have to be.
I'm not sure if people are going to still make notes that way, but yes, notes become actually good guiding, and I hope my notes become useful.
So now will come final. One last question is about the test series for optional. So what is the right time to take a test series and for an optional, and answer writing practice for optional?
I took a test series in my last attempt, in 2020 attempt. I took two optional test series, and I did not, because I did not finish any of them, and I got caught in trying to revise only or finish the syllabus only. The mistake that I made in 2020 was I thought that after I finish prelims, I can finish a large part of my optional syllabus after prelims in those 3 months. No, I could not. It was only revision that I could do in my 2021 attempt. My preparation was completely done before prelims. All the notes were ready and everything. So the point I'm trying to make is the two test series that I had joined that I had not done earlier, that I redid it. And some of the tests that I had done, that told me what is expected as an answer. So I took a lot of practice by myself, evaluated the answers myself only. I took a four test series, paper one, paper two, paper one, paper two, full length test series from one coaching institute. For only four tests that I got evaluated from others, from the that institute. But apart from that, it was only my own practice.
So thank you, Abhijit, for your detailed explanation of
Sure.
all this entire preliminary and main strategy. Now, finally, we'll come to the personality test part, and we are happy that you are part of our personality development module of KingMakers IAS Academy, and you had one-on-one sessions with bureaucrats. So, can you discuss about your personality development preparation and the module?
So it's very important to understand in the interview stage what is it that you want from the mock test, or what is it that is lacking in your interview preparation. In my case, I took the online mock of KingMakers IAS Academy. It was an excellent one. The panelists were not only very jovial, but they complimented and supported me in very nice ways, and they encouraged me. So what they basically, through their feedback, that I realized that I am quite good in communicating and articulating my things. That part is clear. So what I need to work on is the material, what I am communicating, the way I'm communicating. The personality part of it is excellent. That is okay. There is no brushing up, nothing needed, but it's the material. So that is one indication that I got from Kingmakers, this one. And the teachers were very, I would say, very helpful enough to point out exactly some things that I needed to study, which would benefit, and which is unconventional, which is normally missed out by many aspirants. So again, I have a list of the topics that I've studied, and I have made extensive notes. Like when I went into the preparation, I did not know that I need to work so hard on material of option interview, but I had to. And I think Kingmakers has been a consistent. Their DAF analysis questionnaire was also very helpful. So I mean, I owe a lot of my interview success, I would say, to Kingmakers IAS Academy, and it has been a good support, and it was very well complemented what I exactly wanted from the interview stage. So yeah, I would say that, yes.
And Balachandar sir was very happy to see you in the final list.
Yes,
Since
I really want to get back to him. I have his number. I have not been able to contact him. I want to talk to him and thank him also. He took my one-on-one session, and he was very happy to give me his feedback.
yeah,
So
he was from your home state.
yes, he was posted in West Bengal cadre. Yes.
So and we felt very happy to see you in the top 50. So at the
Thank you.
50th rank, and thanks a lot, Mr. ABHIJIT Ray, for joining this session and spending your time
Sure.
and inspiring the aspirants, because the small strategies and small things which the persons who cleared they did, that will be helpful to a lot of others to clear this examination. And I'm sure that you will continue mentoring the students who are looking up
Thank you.
for the
Sure.
civil
That is what I
services
want to do.
preparation from your state and from throughout India. And one more thing is that, and we wish as a part of KingMakers IAS Academy and on behalf of our Bhuminathan sir, the CMD, that you become a very responsible and civil servant and serve the people and the
Thank
masses
you.
and do the national duty.
Thank you.
Congratulations once again for joining this session and spending your time. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to finish by one statement that success is about the small things, lot of small things done correctly. You were mentioning about the small things, right? So that is what success is. Attention to detail of all the small things, that amounts to success. So yes, that's a very good thought to finish, actually.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.